Hello and welcome to the class. Students, today we are going to talk about soil pollution, sources, effects and control measures. Soil is defined as any part of the earth's crust in which plants root. It is the outermost layer of the earth's crust consisting of a complex mixture of inorganic and organic materials with variable amounts of air and water. The inorganic materials includes clay, silt, sand, gravel and rocks. The organic components consist of living and non-living plant and animal materials. Living organisms of soil include insects, earthworms, and different types of microorganisms. The fertile topsoil is the most valuable natural resources, usually varies from 0 to 30 centimeter depth. Contamination of excess of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, dumping of solid wastes from different sources, misuse of land and crop management, etc., causes soil pollution. An undesirable change in the physical and chemical characteristics of soil that adversely affects the growth of the plants and other organisms is referred to as soil pollution. Soil pollution can be defined as the changes in physical, chemical and biological conditions of soil through man's intervention or misuse of land and resulted into degradation in quality and productivity of the soil. The problem of soil pollution differs from that of water and air pollution in the respect that the pollutants remain in place for relatively longer periods. Rapid urbanization with the consequent increase in buildings has resulted in the reduction of lands for the waste to be disposed of. Dumping of industrial and municipal waste causes leaching of toxic materials which seep into the soil and affect the groundwater. Agricultural practices introduce pesticides, fertilizers and manures to the soil, resulting in both biological and chemical contamination. Thus, soil pollution is increasing day by hazardous materials and the microorganisms of the polluted soil enter the food chain or water and consequently ingested by man. As such, there is an urgent need to study the sources, effects and control measures of soil pollution. Soil pollution is the result of several sources which can be categorized under the following heads. First of all, domestic and municipal waste. Second, industrial and mining waste. 3. Agricultural waste. 4. Radioactive materials. 5th, biological agents. And 6. Airborne sources. One of the main causes of soil pollution is the growing quantity of domestic and municipal waste. Domestic or household garbage includes food scraps, old newspapers, a variety of plastic items, bottles, discarded papers, wood, glass, cans, old appliances, tires, worn-out furniture, broken toys, etc. Urban waste comprise both commercial and domestic waste, including dried sludge of sewage. In general, all the urban solid waste are referred to as refuse. It has been estimated that in 45 major cities in India, the quantity of average municipal waste per day is about 50,000 tons. Thus, the dumping of domestic and municipal waste is a serious problem in cities because of its impact on environment and public health. Industrial discharge, liquid and solid waste without proper treatment which got deposited on the soil are also one of the main source of soil pollution. The industrial waste are mainly discharged from coal and mineral mining industries, metal processing industries, etc. They contain toxic metals such as lead, copper and chemicals having acids. It has been reported that about 50% of raw materials turn into waste products in industry and about 15% is toxic. The chemicals discharged from the industries often enter surface or groundwater or poison the soil or crops. The expansion of mining activities in many countries of the world has now become a main cause of soil pollution. Mining has become a threat to the environment because it leads to the huge quantity of waste generally not useful to man and its process is not economical. Mining operations produce about 1.35 billion tons of debris each year throughout the world. Agricultural practices also pollute the soil. Large number of chemicals have now become essential parts of agriculture. Pesticides are regarded as the number one pollutant on global scale. In many countries, the use of pesticides are more frequent and in heavy doses. These indeed prevent crop and vegetable infection and helps in increasing production, but their pollution effect is too high to soil and through runoff from fields to water bodies. DDT reaches the human system through soil and water. In India, it is commonly observed that illiterate and uninformed farmers take handful of pesticide powder and sprinkle over the crop plants, not considering inhaling powdery chemical and ingesting it by his contaminated hand. Some of the pesticides are very persistent and non-biodegradable that remain in food chain over large periods. Herbicides or weedicides are the chemicals used to kill selectively the weeds in agricultural fields, leaving the crops unharmed. 2,4-D being effective on broad-leaved plants and weeds, generally being wide-leaf, is the most extensively used herbicide. The main problem of pollution is due to the drift of the chemicals to non-target organisms. In Washington state, 2,4-D drifts from wheat fields to vineyards over a period of several years have caused widespread damage to grape crops. Volatile formulations of 2,4-D esters are much more mobile and affect non-target plants and animals than non-volatile 2,4-D salt. The radioactive waste produced by nuclear testing laboratories and industries reach the soil and accumulate there. Waste from nuclear reactors contain ruthenium-106, rhodium-106, iodine-131, barium-140, lanthanum-140, cerium-144, etc. All the radionuclides deposited on the soil emit gamma radiations that are harmful to soil as well as for organisms present there. The excreta of humans, animals and birds are also the source of soil pollution, by biological agents. Digested sewage sludge, which is used as a manure, also causes soil pollution. In the developing countries, intestinal parasites constitute the most serious soil pollution problems. Faulty sanitation, wastewater, and wrong methods of agriculture also induce soil pollution. There are three groups of pathogenic organisms that pollute the soil. They are: first, pathogenic organism excreted by man; 2, pathogenic organisms excreted by animals; and 3, pathogenic organisms found in the contaminated soil. Airborne sources such as the fumes emitted by factory chimneys travel to several kilometers on the windward side and slowly deposit on soil. Sulfur present in the fumes are responsible for acid rains and consequent lowering of soil pH. Fumes produced in UK have affected the soil pH of Scandinavia. Chlorine and nitrogen oxides are other common gaseous pollutants which combine with water and pollute the soil. Particulates matter particularly near cement factories, coal transshipments, mining belts, etc. reach soil surface of neighboring regions. Following are the harmful effects of soil pollution. Firstly, several pesticides or their degradation products are absorbed by the plants, which in turn may affect the entire food chains and food webs. Secondly, in developing countries, the unhygienic processes of people and faulty sanitation aggravate soil pollution. The innumerable pathogens contained in such soil contaminate vegetable crops and causes serious health hazards for man and domesticated animals. Thirdly, decomposition of various types of waste materials causes harmful gases and bad smell, which not only pollute the environment but is also harmful if mixed with chemicals. Fourthly, those bacteria which are transmitted from soil to man infect man, causing dysentery, cholera, tuberculosis, typhoid, etc. Fifth, particles in the sewage may clog the micro holes of the soil and also destroy the microorganisms necessary for the soil. Sixth, soil pollution is responsible for the loss of fertility and productivity of soil. Following measures may be adopted to control soil pollution. Firstly, judicious use of biofertilizers instead of chemical fertilizers. Secondly, use of biological methods instead of pesticides, insecticides and herbicides, thereby minimizing soil pollution. Thirdly, recycling and recovery of materials appears to be a reasonable solution for reducing soil pollution. This would decrease the volume of the refuse. Fourth, protection and preservation of top fertile soil by proper management of crop rotation. Fifth, plantation of trees to control soil erosion and cultivation of grass and papaya on polluted wastelands or soil. 6. Restrictions on the use of DDT and similar compounds. 7. Proper disposal of industrial and urban waste. 8. Use of urban and industrial effluents for irrigation purposes after proper treatment. 9. Education to farmers about the proper uses of fertilizers and biocides. Students, after all the discussion we had today, we can conclude that soil as a natural resources occupies a central portion in operation of any ecosystem and sustains all life forms on the earth. Quality of soil is indeed of paramount importance for conservation of biodiversity. Enormous variety of plants which support all other forms of life as producers depend for the supply of all sorts of nutrients as well as water on soil. Therefore, unless the degradation of soil or soil pollution is checked or controlled, it would amount to a great loss for mankind. So, control of soil pollution or the conservation of soil is very much needed for the welfare of human beings as well as for the other organisms.